is everyone. There's no one that said one freaking thing about the music. No one say, oh, they just love your color on you. No one liked the singing. No one liked the music. Just
Music makes everything better. I so agree, JC.
maybe no
Unless
one else
you're
could
love the
hear the
funky
music.
track. I might know every word to every Neil Diamond song, Jason.
Me too.
Really? Did you
Yeah.
grow up to it like I did?
That it was my second concert
Oh,
ever.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also saw Neil Diamond in concert. I brought my parents, which was a big deal because they weren't big concert people. But I did grow up on Neil Diamond in my house. So yeah, I love JC's question. What was your first concert, Jason?
Okay. Anyone know who that was? Yes, Sean Cassidy. Wow, we're
Oh.
really, that was like, this is on the fly DJing I'm doing here, you know?
This is good. This is high production quality.
Oh yeah, kick ass. I mean, yeah, really high production quality here. But yeah, Sean Cassidy. Sean Cassidy was first, Neil Diamond was second. Now, what does that say about me? Who knows? What was everyone's first concert? That's a great question.
That is a
Uh,
good question.
what is a Lake Street dive?
Where do you see that? I took my boys to their
Casara.
first concert, Lake Street Dive. We were on the rail in Georgia and it was amazing. I love that. I don't know
Yeah.
what Lake Street Dive is.
And we're not, I can't keep doing all this music stuff. But
This is
oh,
here.
Neil Diamond. Oh, cool. CCR, uh, World Series of Rock. First band there was Jefferson Airplane. Look at that.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Everyone should take a minute to remember their first concert. But Jess, I do have to tell you a really sad story uh,
Oh,
related to Neil Diamond.
what?
So I bought a Neil Diamond baseball hat. Or excuse me, my parents bought me a Neil Diamond baseball hat at that concert. It was black and it was like bedazzled.
I would pay so much money for that hat.
Yeah, it was black and it was bedazzled. And on the way home, it flew off my head out the window on
Oh
the freeway. And I never forget how hard I cried. And I have no idea. I have no idea. Oh my God, this is such a bad memory. But anyway, I remember it vividly. I remember the whole thing so vividly.
no. Oh,
Uh, yeah.
Seals and Crofts. I love that.
I'm
Memory.
sure we've got some of like students of mine from Charleston listening to this, and they're like, "What the heck? We're talking about these." They don't even know who Neil Diamond is, probably. Uh,
Oh, well, you
oh,
know what?
Bryce said, "Who could fit into the purchased T-shirt?" That's a really good question too.
I mean, if you still have a t-shirt from your first concert, that's true vintage. It's not a copycat. You can't go to Target and buy it. Those are, I actually follow a bunch of accounts on Instagram that are like vintage rock tees. I should go thrifting for some good vintage rock tees. Yes, I know, Steve. I was just thinking the same thing. Jessica, you took your husband to his first concert. I love it. And Red Rocks.
Last Friday, his first concert?
No.
Wow, that is crazy.
Love.
Yeah. I think that I don't think everyone actually, there's a lot of people on here that didn't say anything about their first concert. But anyway, we got to get started. Welcome to the Now of Work Digital Meetup, number 277. Thank you, Bryce, official counter. And it's
Uh-huh.
great to have Bryce back after he took some time off this summer. So, Bryce, thank you're here. Let's everyone start by doing a little red, yellow, green. And with red, yellow, green, the state, city, state, and country. You don't need to say US if you're in the US, since I know that's where 87% of the people are. But where you're attending from today would be great. San Diego in the house. Denver. Nicole, sorry you have a cold, but
Hmm.
I'm sure you'll hopefully better. Washington, California, Ohio. Bryce is red. Ugh. Um,
Eagles
Marco
country.
Island, Florida, Canada. Um, Eagles Country, Northeast Pennsylvania.
Green for Eagles country. I love that.
Uh,
Bryce,
Atlanta,
we got
Georgia, and about to head out to Shaky Knees Music Festival. You familiar with the Shaky Knees,
I'm
Jess?
not. I'm not, but now I want to go.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one, right? Shaky
Shaky
Knees.
knees.
So,
Green,
do you
green
know,
day.
Jess, the Shaky Knees? You know who's at the Shaky Knees?
Tell me.
Which I would be all, oh my God, I want to go. I might just get on a plane. Like, look at this concert. This is amazing. We've got, look at this. Friday, we've got the
Deftones.
Deftones.
Oh my God.
Saturday, My Chemical Romance and All American Rejects, high on my list. And then one Blink 182,
Where is this?
Atlanta,
Piedmont
Georgia.
Park. Oh my God.
This is amazing. We should have done a live meetup. If I would have known, we would have done a
Oh,
live meetup
we should have
from
gone
this concert.
straight from Vegas to that concert. My 16-year-old daughter Ainsley is a brand spanking new Deftones fan. Like she thinks she discovered them, which is always cute.
Camille, welcome home. You got on the red eye. I did not get on the red eye.
No, you really beat me
I
out.
got on
I'm
the blue
jealous.
eye. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah, except it was a little rainy getting out of Vegas, which was a little unexpected.
I know.
Heavy rain.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got mostly green, a few yellows. Sorry, to see that. And the red. If there's anything anyone can do, please let us know. Or if you want to talk about it here, let us know.
Hmm.
Um, oh, Hurricane Mario. I guess I didn't realize that's what caused the rain.
Wow. I
It
didn't
was,
know hurricane weather could get to Las Vegas, but I guess
yeah, it was definitely bumpy back in 36D, which is where I was sitting on the plane, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Like between the bathroom crowd and the bumpiness, it was a bumpy flight. Okay, Jess, how are you?
Mm. Mm.
Jess, hmm, hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be home in Minneapolis. I think as I get older, Jason, my word count is going down. Like the number of words I actually have in a day, that number is reducing. So when I run out, I run out and I just have to be done. So it was a big week for a lot of words. So it was good to be there at HR Tech. I know some of us were at Rising as well, and it's good to be home. Yeah, Cynthia.
So that's why when I say Jess, you just say hmm.
I go, hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
people think I'm like this like social butterfly and extrovert. Oh, I'm telling you, when I'm done, I'm done. And I will Irish exit faster than you can blink.
Well, good. I'm glad you're green. I'm green
Yeah.
also. It was a really good week in between San Francisco and Vegas. And yeah, really good. I a little tired. But I think that, I don't know, I mean, you're out of words, but you're also out of steps, maybe. The
Yeah.
social battery is definitely
Yeah.
off. I think that I'll talk about my one big thing in a little bit, but it was kind of funny because it was so nice to have my son Ben at HR Tech with me this week, which was
Yeah.
really cool. He was laughing at me. He's like, "Do you come to a lot of these?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, this is 28th HR Tech, which is crazy." Um,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Is it always like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And
Uh-huh.
he's like, "Do you always feel like this?" Because one time or before dinner that night, we had dinner. I went back up to the room and I said, "I just need a 7-minute nap." And he's like, 7 minutes? I'm like, "Yeah, I'm actually setting my alarm for 7 minutes." Because it was just enough to like plug in the social battery
Yes.
part of it. But yeah, those are big events. But it was
Yeah.
really, really cool. And I think that um Nicole, I want to talk about that in a second, that what Nicole just put in the chat. But let's
Mm.
get through our opening here, and then we're going to talk a little about some of those things as well. Cynthia, thank you for your tired looks amazing, you two. Bummed I didn't get to meet Ben. Oh yes, it was very, yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, Bob. he met you, Bob. He actually asked me who that was interviewing Jess and I for the podcast. Bob Pulver, really quickly, had his AIQ podcast at HR Tech, which was great to be part of. And Bob, thank you for the invitation. But Jess, really quickly, I'm green. I've got my Monster Energy.
Mm.
I've got my sparkling ice. You got your
Got my flower pot of coffee.
flower pot of coffee. I'm a little bit yellow, only because Alex has a football game tonight.
Mm.
But I don't know if I shared with you, he's concussed.
Oh, yes,
He
that
got
can
concussed at the last game. So I'm going to a game, and I think if anyone's looked at the
might not
weather
play.
in Minneapolis,
It'll
it's
be
going to
rainy.
be rainy and thunderstormy and not that warm. Uh, and he's not playing. So
Mm.
I'm glad he's not playing. Brad, thank you for putting a link in there. I'm glad he's not playing after being concussed last week and want him to get better. But it's me a little sad.
Hmm.
Senior year, missing a game, blah, 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 blah.
But your head and your brain is, yes, Bryce, is more important. I've had 4 concussions. Did you know that?
This explains a
A
lot.
lot. I know.
This explains how many letters are in the word protocol.
8.
See,
I still have
everyone.
that stupid human trick. My first one was when I was a kid and I was doing tricks on a swing and I flipped right off the swing and knocked myself out on the hard ground below. And then there was like a hiking one. I don't remember what the third one was. And my last one, which has to be my last one, was in a Spartan race. I fell off an obstacle and knocked myself out.
Wow.
That
Well,
is,
I think four is probably a lot. I mean, I think you should probably
it's a
be
lot.
done. I think you
That
should be
that
done.
must be the last. You can't do that to your head. So tell him to take care of his head.
Yeah. So let's talk about one big thing. I'd love everyone to talk about their one big thing. I don't know if Bob's one big thing was his podcast this week. But would love to hear your one big thing. One big thing you accomplished this week, or one conversation, or one thing. Like, just take a second, reflect, be present in the moment, and what's one big thing that you're proud of this week about yourself, or something that you did, um, or that you, and please try to share. I'd love everyone to share. Jess, do you have one big thing you'd like to share?
I do. I expected a lot of one big things going to HR Tech, which is always like a little bit of an industry family reunion. And I got lots of those. My favorite is always when people from the community who follow us and hang out with us in this space, come up and say hi. And sometimes it's the first time we've met someone. But my absolute, I wasn't expecting it, which is why it was such a pleasant surprise. My absolute, hands down, one big thing, favorite reunion of the week was Danny Monty, a former coworker of mine. I've had a really incredible career. I've had some amazing fun jobs, like where you got to build something amazing. You knew you were on a rocket ship. You worked with really incredible, talented people. And Danny and I were partners. We worked on the most incredible accounts. We both worked for Doug Berg. We did everything together. We produced super incredible work together. And she's still at SAP. I was not expecting to see her. We ran into each other and it was like it was 15 years ago all over again. Absolute favorite reunion. I love when people stay in the space, but they grow and they change and they're doing different stuff. But that was a really incredible walk down memory lane. So for me, it was a person, somebody I used to absolutely love and still do, and share it. Like I know everything about her kids, and she knows everything about mine. I know all of you have people like that you can relate to. So that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about a little about HR tech in a minute, because there's a lot to talk about that we're going to talk about, like the actual happened at the event. But like when you said it's a person, I think
Yeah,
I hope that in a lot of cases, I mean, whether it's a person or whether it's like Kasara here, started my final year of coursework for a
love
PhD
that.
that's about yourself, which is really important. I made it. I love that Chris made it to Dry Tortuga, which is really great. I love Kelly brought home my mom and husband from hospitals to recover from their serious health conditions. John went to the opening performance of a new theater in San Diego. I think Tracy just graduated from physical therapy after cancer treatment. Like
Wow.
those are, those are amazing. I love heading out after this to the Calgary Film Festival to see John Candy. I Like Me documentary. That sounds amazing. Used AI to develop a harassment training for an annual company meeting. It's not love that. Can't wait to
Very
present
cool.
it. I love when someone says can't
Oh,
wait. Like that just got
yes.
me excited. Like when someone
Anticipation.
just that language. Yeah, one of my best friends just gave birth to her first child.
Oh,
Love that. These are great. Wife and I bought our green burial plots, so one deep thing. Wow.
wow.
Thank you for sharing that, Bryce. Made a decision to turn down new stretch work because I knew I wasn't ready for it. I'm going to train up and shadow others, so next time I'll be ready. I love
Oh,
that,
I
Josie.
love that. Way to
Thank
own
you
it.
for thank you for sharing that also. I love these are great.
Yes.
So so of course I always have a problem with
Three.
just one. Yeah. But I mean, well, so I did mention one. So, well, actually, let me start with one. I had an opportunity to see someone I haven't seen forever. Her name is Mary Ruiz. And some people may know Mary Ruiz, some people may not know Mary Ruiz. And if she was on, she'd probably be blushing, blushing, blushing. But I worked with Mary Ruiz probably 20 some years ago when she was working for a woman named Libby Sartain, who was the CHRO of Yahoo, and is dating myself. But Mary was someone that in 2005, crazy enough, when I left PeopleSoft and started Knowledge Infusion, gave Knowledge Infusion a chance.
Mm,
And it was the first time that someone ever chose Knowledge Infusion over Deloitte and Accenture. Um, and that's nothing against Deloitte and Accenture,
right.
but it was just like a little tiny, like it was Heidi Spierge and myself, and we were like, oh man, we're competing against Deloitte and Accenture, like WTF? Like it's two of us and one other person. And there's this woman, Mary Ruiz, who was the head of operations at Yahoo, and she gave us a chance.
Oh,
And to see her, like it literally brought tears to my eyes. And at the same time, I'm gonna start crying. She had two, not just about that, but she had two kids at the same time as I had in my head. Heather and I had our first child, and one of her two boys was severely disabled
mm.
as born, and to see her and to share the stories of 20 years later, and to hear how her kids are doing now, um, and just it was just so amazing. Anyway, my
Wow.
big one, my one big thing was just reuniting with someone who knows what I'd be doing, where I'd be if she wouldn't have taken a chance on a startup, little tiny startup 20 years ago like that.
Mm.
So it was just really, really cool to do that. And then to have it to have that conversation with her in front of my son, who was 20, Ben, who was actually at HR Tech recording a bunch of podcasts for me, and meeting with CHROs that came onto the podcasts, and meeting with industry influencers that came onto the
Wow.
podcast, and watching him. Uh, it was all just really, really surreal. Yeah, that's all I can say. So uh, I was so proud of him, yet at the same time, dad-like of him. Like, you just left your wrapper over here, or to share a room, or like to share a room with him. I was like, you're like, we left for the day, and we came back. And I'm like, oh my God, housekeeping didn't even do our room. He's like, I hate when housekeeping comes in, so I turned on the do not disturb. I'm like, well, what? Like, we don't have a made bed. Like, that's one of the things I like about staying in hotels. You're like, I hate made beds. So I turned on the do not disturb sign. So
Oh
then
my
I
gosh.
realized how frustrating it was to have a roommate who happens to be your son. So anyway, it was just a really cool week. And to have him, it was, I mean, there were some things that were like really embarrassing. Like someone said that I was what did they say? Brad Pitt of HR tech. They said that to
In
Ben.
front of
Oh
him.
my God. They're like, oh my God, gross. Like, I can't believe someone said that to you. But oh, see, this is funny. My younger son complains every single time they make the bed. Uh,
Oh, that's my favorite part of coming back into the room
Me
is seeing
too.
my made bed. I don't care
Yeah.
if
So
I do
I was
anything
like, oh
else.
my God, you actually turned on the do not disturb sign so that they don't want the bed made.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole thing was just really special. So anyway, that's my one big thing. I really appreciate you guys sharing your one big things. I always refuse room service, drives my wife crazy. Bob, you probably do it because you're a kind man who's looking out for the ecosystem and things like that. And
Yes.
instead of me, who's being the spoiled brat who wants my bed made. Uh,
Right.
that's probably Bob's reason for refusing room service. But anyway.
He'll take credit for thinking green.
So, Jess, we had the opportunity to be on Bob's podcast, and
Hmm.
it was really interesting because it was the opening podcast of HR Tech, and Bob was really
Yeah.
cool to get that slot A, but even more cool to invite us. And that was I got to serenade Bob with Love on the Rocks, which is the reason I played that song for opening, which I never even talked about today. But congratulations, Bob. I'm excited for that episode to
Yeah.
come out. I may have been a little too passionate on that podcast. But
Never. Those are always the best conversations. I love it
yeah,
when your energy is simmering up here because I know we're going to have some good conversation.
yeah. But I was like, yeah, we don't need to teach more people about tech. We need to teach people about being humans using tech.
Yeah.
And it was just a really good conversation. So whenever that comes out, I hope it doesn't offend anyone that it was just tech. Um, but it was a really good conversation. At least I thought so, Jess. I don't know about yourself.
I had the one night where I ran out of words, right before I ran out of words, I was talking to a former CEO who was sort of like thinking through his next big thing, his next move. And so we kind of geeked out on that conversation a little bit. His kids are a tiny bit older than mine, and we talked about education, Jason, something that you and I talk about a lot. Uh, and with the value of going on to higher education. And to your point, he said, if I were you, and I know I'm thinking this way as a parent, I would send my kids to higher education through the regular college programming, but with more of a focus on the humanities, ethics classes, philosophy, arts, because they're not going to get, well, it's not that they're not going to get it anywhere else. They might not get it with intentional direction in that way. And I thought that was pretty good feedback, something for all of us to think about.
For sure. Yeah, completely agree. So let's talk about, so by the way, I also want to talk about acquisitions.
Mm,
Because I think that we did talk about acquisitions, and I hope some of you had a chance to listen to a podcast that I did with Thomas Otter, who I think um is I've always thought Thomas is brilliant, and he's been on the show before. He's very giving with his time. And he explained a lot of things on that podcast about why people do acquisitions and things like that. But that was after the Paradox and Smart Recruiters acquisition.
yeah.
And then this week we saw Workday acquire another company, which I always say the name wrong, Jess. Uh,
Sauna.
Sana, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I'm curious as to, like, we can't we these are big companies that a lot of people here are customers about. I'm
Yeah.
curious as to, once again, Thomas and I talked about incremental versus exponential.
Hmm.
And everyone's job, and please remember that when I say things, I'm not throwing shade on any vendors. These are just general comments. So please, like, this just happens to be at Workday, so don't take this wrong because it has nothing to do with Workday. Um, every marketing person's job and PR person's job is to make the acquisition sound as successful and big and
Innovate.
exciting as possible. Because you wouldn't say, "Hey, I just acquired something, but I'm not really excited about it," right? Like that would
Right.
be stupid to do that. But it's also very interesting to hear what customers' responses are uh, when it comes to some of those things. And it's also interesting to then watch industry analysts respond to some of
Yeah.
those things, which I think is really interesting as well. So, so I'd love your thoughts just on, I mean, on all of this, because we haven't really talked about it that much.
Yeah. Well, I tend to get a little too excited because I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful and optimistic that every acquisition is a strategic acquisition that's actually going to produce net new innovation. But that's not always the case. It could be an outcome of the acquisition. Certainly, when you broaden your infrastructure and your workflow automation extends further and you're able to continue talent journeys further with more intelligence. I mean, the paradox thing certainly has the opportunity to do that. Same with, but so I like to think very opportunistically, and I get excited about the possibilities from a tech standpoint, but obviously from a realistic, pragmatic standpoint, sometimes you're just locking up market share, grabbing customer logos and revenue, attempting to show some growth through acquisition. So sometimes it's just business, and that's okay too. When you go to a show, it's a very physical, tangible reminder of how complex and complicated and chaotic our market is. There were maybe 400 vendors. I have no idea. Maybe 400 vendors on that expo floor. There were probably 4,000 in the HR tech space. That's way too many. And so the collapsing of that market and the consolidation of that market is a necessary thing for sure. But I also think a lot of the innovation isn't going to come from that show floor. It's going to come from other technology providers who are a little further ahead on business process automation and experiential design and data flow. So I don't know. It's interesting, right?
It is very interesting, and I'm gonna put a little bit different flavor on this because I here's what I think. I think that all of these companies that have been around for a long time, Workday, Success Factors, Oracle, ServiceNow, these
Mm-hmm.
are really good companies. They're bellwethers,
Totally.
and they're the heartbeat of what I mean. By the way, sorry, I could go to ADP, Dayforce,
Same
all of these
old.
companies. I'm
Yes.
not leaving anyone out. I'm not being uh
No favorite children.
right. Nothing that I'm saying. I could go down the list. I think what's most important is the new talent that these organizations are getting.
Totally.
I think more than anything is the
Yeah.
new talent, the new mindset, the new beliefs, the new optimism. Because guess what? Organizations can get stale. They get stale. And if
Yeah.
I just take three acquisitions, if I take Adam Godson from Paradox,
Brilliant.
brilliant.
And human. Yes.
Yes, brilliant and human. And whether or not Paradox ever gets embedded into the Workday product, as long as Adam's at Workday, it's
Right.
a
They
huge
won.
thing.
Yes.
Yes. It's a huge thing.
Same
Like,
for Rebecca.
yeah,
Same.
that's what I was gonna say. Rebecca Carr,
Oh my
Smart
God.
Recruiters,
Yeah.
exact same thing. As long as Rebecca is part of SAP, and that's not, by the way, that's not saying when she leaves, it all of a sudden everything goes away.
Right.
But what it means is that the influence, and then Joel Hellermark, for those of you that haven't met Joel Hellermark from Sana, same exact thing. Like those three leaders, Adam Godson, Rebecca Carr, Joe Hellermark, you could not don't even tell me the money. I don't even
Right.
care how much the money is you have paid for these companies because you shouldn't look at that. Because the companies like at Workday who can afford to spend $1 billion on Joel Hellermark. Now, that's not saying their technology is not good either. But
Hmm.
what I'm saying, because it is good, but what I'm saying is the thing to watch, and I'd love for people to take away, are the humans that have been acquired as part of this process and the new blood, the new spirit, the new
Yeah.
energy that not only they bring to the company that acquired them, but how that influences everyone else in the company that works there.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, that is more important than with how fast technology is changing right now. It's more important that you have an open mind and you have amazing energy and amazing excitement about the future than it is about the actual product itself.
Yes. Could not agree more. I also noticed, I don't know if you noticed this as well, and then I didn't catch as many sessions as I wanted to. But what I was able to observe, I noticed some of the conversation shifting from end user experience and applications, like the touch points that we all see in the hiring process or the talent process or whatever. I'm seeing some of the conversation shift to structural layers, orchestration layers, how data flows, actual architecture. And that's good. That is actually very exciting because that's the stuff that's game changing. I think we shouldn't see 80% of the software we use or that powers our experiences. Like now that and especially around AI, now that that conversation is shifting to like the foundation we pour under the house that we build on top of it, that's where innovation is going to come from. And I saw a little bit of that shift this week.
Now, I saw a big shift. I saw a big shift, but I also saw a big oh shit moment for me. And for those of you
Mm,
you like to, I mean, so I look for oh shit moments. And I shared in one of the speeches I gave at HR Tech that I'll never forget where I was the first time I showed my kids ChatGPT.
hmm
And I'll never forget Alex's response, which was, I'm never gonna have to write a paper again. Which was cute, funny, interesting to me all at the same time. This HR Tech 2025 will be the first HR Tech that I've ever been to where I've heard more people talk about how do we change the HR function and how do we
Yes.
change our operating model and not talk about the technology.
Yep.
There was more talk about the redesign of HR, the purpose of HR, and what the role of the function is going to be and how it's going to be set up in the future than there was actually about the technology, even
Yeah.
though we were at a conference called HR Tech.
Yeah, totally.
And that really, like in my 28 years, quote unquote, will be a point in time because I really think what we're going to see in 26 is more people say to themselves, wow, we really need to think about how, because I heard people say we're going to get rid of COEs. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, interesting. I heard people say, hey, guess what? Talent acquisition and talent development are going to become one. I'm like, that that's been talked about, but it hasn't
Yeah.
actually been that way before. And Michelle just said, do you think
That's
they're
the
talking about
challenge.
that redesign because they're introducing a new worker, the agent? And the answer to the question is yes.
Yes.
I think that what we're finally realizing is that the future is tied of human machine teaming, A. And Bob, I have thoughts on that, but I'm gonna and Jess knows my thoughts on this. That's probably
Well,
why.
we haven't even had this conversation, but for the rest of you, the winner of the Pitch Fest is a company called Sonic Jobs, and I have not, full disclaimer, I have not seen a demo. I don't know them, but I did look them up when I saw who the winner was. And yes, it does focus on everything in the Pitch Fest was AI for TA. Not everything, but
Why?
it felt like it. Uh, and it is focused on candidates, but it's NLP to help candidates apply to jobs. That's cool. That's a start. We're scratching the surface at, again, rethinking UI, interfaces, how much we should, how and how much we should actually engage with software. Just ask me questions and fill in everything you need. That's what I understand that is. Is it problematic? Will it help spam apply to jobs? Probably. I don't know. I have not seen a demo, but that's what that was apparently. I don't know, Jason, we haven't talked about it. What you're a fan of NLP and voice for everything and
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah, yeah,
away.
yeah, 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 yeah. Hold on, hold on. This is starting to get off the rails. So really quickly, let's talk. We're mixing conversations here.
Yeah.
So I am a huge fan of human machine teaming. So I read Brooke's comment. Okay, Brooke, the reason that I know that you're swimming with dolphins is through human machine teaming. You're a human, you're teaming with a machine that's posting pictures that I can see. The reason that we're doing this Now of Work digital meetup is human machine teaming. Now, you might say that's stupid teaming or that's not teaming. It is teaming. This gets very definitional.
Mhm.
Brooke, when you say, will that be successful? It already is successful. Now, does that mean that that didn't say machine replacing humans? I didn't say that. I said human machine teaming. So will that be successful? I do believe it'll be successful, depending and if we design work in a way that allows it to be successful and that brings people along with us and don't just shove it down their throat and they get value from it. Like, why do you get value showing me pictures of you swimming with dolphins, Brooke? Is because you get value from it and I get value. I'm just teasing Brooke because I love her Instagram posts.
Yes.
She's probably gonna block me going forward after that. But
Writing her
that,
story right
that
now.
was my example that I was using. It's like we are all teaming with machines. Like when we get on an airplane, we're teaming with machines. So let's not get over blah 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 about that. But now the AI stuff, the talent acquisition stuff. Um, I I do think that AI, artificial intelligence, or technology, or machines, or whatever, can change a lot of how we work and can make it better. Where I do worry about, and in the keynote that I ran, which was with two CHROs, um, the brilliant CHRO from GE Healthcare. If you haven't met or heard of Adam Holton, I highly recommend you follow him. Adam basically said that there are two reasons that AI will fail HR. The first is that if we approach it incrementally versus exponentially.
Mhm.
To use two eyes, if we approach it incrementally versus exponentially. So the things we do are just small, digital lipstick on analog pigs, you know,
Yep.
and B, if all we do is deal with inertia all
Yeah.
day. So incrementalism and inertia. Teaser, you'll probably see me write about this soon. Or I already did and just haven't
Mhm.
posted it yet. All that being said, what I'm concerned about with a lot of this TA stuff is that it's incremental.
Mhm.
Like we're still talking rec numbers.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't have rec numbers. But
Well,
should we rethink? I still see most. I'm sorry, my hair. I get a little overexcited. But so I still see most of the stuff in pitch fests as incremental,
totally.
not exponential. And I'm not picking on TA, but it just happens to be that's what was there. And that
Right.
when I looked at it, none of it felt exponential to me. It felt incremental.
Mhm.
And I guess that's all in the eyes of the beholder, right?
It is. I mean, we do have everyday problems that still need addressing. Does candidate experience still need to be fixed? Yes. Yes, and to some of the comments around, like Nicole's comment around sensing what's happening in a like if we can keep going, like collect all this great candidate information in a smarter, more intelligent, hands-off sort of automated way, and then flow it into the company in ways that matter to that candidate once you've hired them. Like we don't quite go far enough, and that's the most exciting part of AI to me. It's not in the generative, creative assistant sort of way that matters from an experience standpoint. It's in the architectural way where we can pull threads further and more easily than we could before to keep informing talent journeys and and outputs that matter to the business.
So Jess, like the exponential here, so exponential thinking, and I tried to write about this at one point, and I may have to keep writing about it. It requires first principles thinking, which basically requires you to pretend like you don't understand anything.
Right.
And that is so hard. So where I was sitting at dinner the other night,
Mhm.
deep, deep, deep in a conversation. And this was a company that told me that they were about to spend $350,000 on a internal career site,
Yes.
and that the vendor was telling them that that's what they should do. And I was like, so why do you have to have an internal career site and an external career site? Like, and I get the difference. So no one think I'm stupid between an external career site and internal career site. But why does one career site not sense whether I work for the company or not?
Mhm.
And then based on that, be able to present me what I should see. Like, why am I still building internal sites and external sites?
Right.
And I totally understand why, because of how this is just when you and I were talking, we're slaves to software vendors. Like, that's because there's modules. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and one person owns ones and one person owns the other. If we really think about this from first principles thinking, what I would do is say, why don't we build one site that automatically, when you sign in, or you shouldn't even have to sign in, it knows who you are, like
Right.
determines whether you're an employee or not, and then shows up with an individualized way of seeing this.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with the pulling the thread further than we could or did before. If you recruited me and hired me, you already know that I was an 80% skills match to whatever you were looking for, assuming that was an accurate profile you were recruiting against. So if that was accurate and the other 20% is important, then keep developing me to fill that gap. Or tell me this is probably where you'll want to go next based on the interests that you demonstrated and the capabilities you continue to demonstrate in the work you're actually performing, all of which technology should be able to sense and track and monitor. So keep personalizing my journey as an employee, keep recruiting me as an employee, understand my sentiment, my engagement, my journey, even as it continues to change. We don't use data this way well at all. And that's a massive opportunity for business.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's, I mean, sorry, and I get way too, I get one, I mean, where this goes back to Jess. I'll never forget when you and I were at a vendor and they were talking about their internal bot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, well, why can't the bot just stay with you forever? Like, if you have Bob, and Bob's helping me apply for a job, and guess what? Bob helped me get the job. And
Yes.
now Bob on day one is saying, hey, Jess, it's so glad that you're here. And guess what? What you told me during the interview process, now it's coming to life. This is like stupid as sales and service delivery handoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, let me tell you everything that we told you during the sales process, but let me tell you again now in the service delivery process. Like, AI can fix that. AI can fix that.
Totally.
And when AI fixes that, then trust will all of a sudden be there. And people say, why am I telling the company again what my address is? Why am I telling the company again where I went to school?
Yeah.
Why am I telling the manager again? Like, Bob is with me all the way through, and Bob's
Right.
growing me and cares about me as much as my manager. Brooke, that's when I think human machine teaming that like comes into play if we do it that way. But that's not just automation of a silo.
Right. Yeah, and the other word that came up a lot, and I think you even used it, Jason, in one of your presentations, you don't have AI if you don't have trust. None of this can work without data, and data requires trust. You have to know that it's accurate. You have to be willing to give it up. You have to trust that it's going to be used well and appropriately. It has to be right and relevant, or we bail. So all of this requires data to flow. It requires insights and intelligence to be accurate and geared toward outcomes that matter for the business. This is a design conversation, a
It's a
data and
design
design
conversation.
conversation.
And by the way, I better say this because Jess and I also were at a lunch together where I truly think I turned off a vendor also, but I see it as our jobs to help people, and I said this, to skate to where the puck is going not
Mhm.
to where the puck is today. So all of the stuff we're talking about doesn't necessarily mean that what you're doing today is wrong,
Mhm.
but it means if you're making decisions like spending X amount of dollars on a new internal career site, maybe, just maybe now is the time to rethink. Or if I'm going to implement a new performance management standpoint, maybe now is the time to think that maybe there's enough signals in the world that we should think about that differently. So nothing I'm saying here is throwing shade on anything anyone's done, because a lot of the stuff that we've done in the past, we didn't have technology to do. But now that we do, it's our job to start to think different, and go back to that first principles thinking. And going back to where we started this whole conversation, that's what I think that these acquisitions can do if the acquiring company allows them to
Mhm.
actually make an impact.
Yeah. Nicole, I love your comment. We have and we have to move away from labeling common practices as best practices. Unfortunately, that's what we're seeing a lot of, this lift and shift to AI. Oh, we can automate everything. And by the way, that's not necessarily AI. Automating old business processes just because it makes it faster and more efficient, and that looks like ROI, is not innovation. That is not transformation. Office automation, electric typewriters back in the day, was not transformative. It was just more efficient. And we're making that mistake a lot too.
Yeah, and really quickly, Bob, your earworm. Just so you know, it was an earworm for me. So what I did this morning was I actually asked Lovable to look at their external career site and create them an internal career site, leveraging in their industry what other organizations are talking about when it comes to internal mobility. Lovable did it in 5 minutes. Now, is it as good as the $350,000 site? No.
But does that matter? I'm like literally arm wrestling over this lately. I don't think that matter. I don't think software needs to be pretty. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I literally shouldn't have to see it. I think we've had this conversation. The best UI is no UI. I think hiding the wires is the new thing. As long as it produces the right outcome, I don't care how pretty it is. I really don't.
Yeah, and once again, and Nicole, yeah, Nicole, I've heard that underlying code structure is super problematic in vibe coded solutions. Yeah, and Nicole, I if I were building a solution to land an airplane or
Probably.
to do open heart surgery, I probably wouldn't use Lovable. Okay. But if I have a solution that can prove to me to be secure and to
Mhm.
prove to me that I can drive compliance, quote unquote, and at the same time know that how much it cost me to build, that I could build 20 of them or
Mhm.
50 of them instead of one of them and not be able to change, that's fine. I think we have to get used to this fact that we can have disposable things as the world continues to evolve. And IT is always going to say it's not enough. But sorry, this is a tangent, but I had this conversation with an organization that is looking to do succession planning for 20 people. And they were looking at a module that was going to cost them $200,000.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you guys, like, I get why. I mean, and this is nothing against vendors. So vendors are on here, please don't get mad at me. But I'm like, you guys, it's 20 people once a year that you focus on it for a week.
Hmm.
Like, I could, in today's world, I mean, the way they're doing it is PowerPoint today. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying you should keep doing it in PowerPoint because there's better ways to do it today, but whether the lovable code is great or whether the lovable code is mediocre or whether you use Cursor or whatever the next Claude, like it doesn't have to be that great. As long as
Right.
it's I'm not saying I'm not saying break security laws and all the governance laws, but our constraints have changed now. Our constraints have changed from how software was controlling us to now our constraints are making sure that we're just doing things in a secure way and we've got good data.
Completely. I had this next year, Jason, I'm going to go undercover. I'm going to go to HR tech in disguise.
I don't think that's gonna work.
And I'm going to be a secret shopper. I walked the expo floor several times back and forth. And I thought, if I'm a CEO, if I'm a business operator, and my primary goal is fill in the blank, to grow the business, to develop new products, to fix a problem, like whatever it is. And I went up to each of these booths. Demo your product to me as if it solves that problem. Like, stop saying we need succession planning. No, you don't. What are you trying to do? We need better leaders. We need to turn over the next wave of management. We need to, like, you don't need a module. You're trying to do something for the business. So define the problem that way. And if I were a CEO, a business operator, if I'm responsible for growth, innovation, efficiency, whatever, show me the solution in that context. That's the ROI story, to the earlier comment about ROI, doing everything faster at a, at a lower cost per unit. Yippee. What are you actually trying to do? And for all of the vendors who I absolutely love, I will continue to challenge you to flip the script in that way. Show why it matters to the business and you've got a story. Otherwise, you're just repeating old stuff.
I mean, Nicole, I mean, thanks for so there's so many great comments. Nicole, like yeah, the company that was doing really cool stuff is Darwin Box, but every vendor is doing really cool stuff. But it really depends on what you is cool to you. A, and B, what is cool to your organization. So, one of the things that we were working with we were with one of the vendors, and like what they were talking about doing is cool, but it's only going to be cool to companies that have like 100 employees, which that's cool. That's fine. But it doesn't have to be cool to everyone. You know, it sounds like people want to film you doing HR tech in disguise, which I would too. Um, that
I'm
would be
already going to start thinking about it.
hilarious. Hey, really quickly, the just I know we're almost out of time, but I did want to. I'm going to put a link into this. That I've been getting a lot of comments. Well, I only posted. I knew this was going to happen. I only posted this podcast 24 hours ago, with Tomas. Now the book
Oh
is
yeah,
missing.
yeah, yeah.
About
Don't be yourself.
yeah, don't be yourself and authenticity. And the comments are crazy. Like I didn't think I was gonna get all these comments. Not about the podcast, not about me, but about like the book. I didn't realize this was such a taboo topic. I guess I should have realized it was a taboo topic because you have talked about it a ton.
Yeah, yeah.
But the number of people that have listened to the podcast, and his book's not coming out for 3 or 4 weeks, listen
Mhm.
to the podcast and say, "Oh my God, this is so amazing," that you know you can't bring your whole self to work. And this
Mhm.
whole concept of authenticity needs to be looked at. Um, I'm a little overwhelmed, to be honest. I try to respond to almost all comments. I'm a little overwhelmed at the moment because there's been so many
Wow.
comments. So I know you've been talking about it. You probably want to say a
Oh,
few.
you give me 3 minutes to respond to this? Yes, I can see why, because it all has to do with safety, right? Trust and safety, and for what purpose. And I think it was Rihanna had a great quote. Now I have to recall it. Something about she, she commented on all the people she's shared herself with, and some of you didn't deserve me. I'll have to look it up now and see if I'm quoting her accurately. It's that idea, like, why would I bring my, do you actually need my whole self? What are you going to do with my whole self? Am I going to get anything out of this? That's where that comes from for me. It's sort of, for what purpose? And can I trust you? I can't wait to read his book. Maybe we should have him on the meetup and we can break
Yeah,
it.
we will. I mean, I hope you over the weekend, if you're walking or running or whatever you're doing, you get a chance to listen to him. It's an amazing, or I, excuse me, the concept is amazing. The listen's not amazing. I mean, I hope it was good. I was nervous talking to him.
Yes, Paul, thank you for that quote. He got it right for me.
I regret opening up to some people they didn't deserve to know me like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great quote.
Take a listen to it, you guys, and then we will have Thomas would love to come on. He's I love talking to Thomas. It's just a question of where he's kind of a digital nomad, so it depends on where in Europe,
World he is.
yeah, he is at the moment. But I think it really if you take that and you think about authenticity and you think about how do you be authentic if a chatbot is talking is working with you. And Brooke, that's where when you said is human machine teaming going to work? Sorry to keep picking on you, Brooke, but that's what got me think. That's what I got thinking about. I'm like, it's going to work if I don't keep the authenticity that I have based on how a machine is pairing with me. Then human machine teaming doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you just take it the way it is, then I think there's a lot. To be thinking about. Kasara, thank you for reading that, or thank you for adding that Simon Sinek share. I agree with that. I think that both of those are really, really important. And one of the things we heard a lot about is that the only way AI is going to be successful is if middle managers drive trust and drive success with it. And
Mm,
I think that ties into all of this as well, which is where Simon Sinek's piece there was going.
yeah. Ah,
Jess, that was an interesting conversation. Oh, did we have a guest?
today.
Sorry, I was just kidding. That would be funny if
Casey, did we forget to bring somebody on?
that would be
Oh,
funny if
but we
all the
do next week. You guys asked us to go solo a little bit more, so we are, and there was a lot to talk about. Can you imagine if we left somebody in the wings? We do next week, and we're not going to forget Allie. Allie Narat from Unleash will be super fun to talk to. I have like some professional jealousy because Allie gets to be sort of a journalist for the industry. And she happens to do it for Unleash, but she's a journalist at heart, and she covers the space really well. So we'll chat with her about, and she does great interviews with business leaders.
yeah, she's awesome. So I'm really excited for that next week. I was just kidding about the whole guest thing. Week of October 6th, y'all in Minneapolis, Bourbon.
Oh, I'm checking the calendar right now, Paul. Sounds perfect.
Paul, I'll do a non-alcoholic bourbon any day of the week. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and talk to you next Friday. Jess, I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.